Hello again, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode number 119 of the Scumbags Wrestling Podcast. It is Thursday night, it's 8 o'clock, and we are live on Facebook, on our Facebook page for the Scumbags Wrestling Podcast, along with our YouTube page and Twitch. So thank you for joining us. This will also be available in audio form, whether you're listening to us on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, or anywhere else you get your podcasts from. Speaking of podcasts, be sure to check out Tyson Duke's podcast, Hammerlock Wrestling. And there is just a few other events coming up in the Ontario scene, including New School Wrestling this weekend and a future event for Alpha One. Not much else going on with Ontario. So we're going to bring in our panel today, as we usually do, starting off with Toronto and Steven, celebrating Jim Cornette's birthday, number 59. How are you today, Steven?
I'm okay. This COVID shit's got me over it. Are they going to be... Where are the two shows? Alpha One's in Oshawa, and where's the other one?
Alpha One's Oshawa, and New School is Hamilton, and that's this weekend. I don't think Alpha One is until October.
I don't think either show might go on.
Yeah, because Ottawa just got slapped down with some restrictions. So that will be a thing to look forward to. We'll try and post things on our Facebook page and see what goes on. At least podcasts can still happen. And that's what we're doing today. And we're going to bring in Jonesy from Niagara Falls. How are you this evening, Jonesy?
Fantastic, as always.
Awesome. So I'm not sure how much we have actually to look at today. I've been looking at different websites trying to find out what has happened that we can talk about and care about today. There was a couple things. This past Tuesday night, AEW had Dark. It was recorded last Wednesday, and we knew about Daniel Garcia and Kevin Blackwood being a part of that episode, taking on Butcher and Blade. And today is Daniel Garcia's birthday, so a shout out and happy birthday to Daniel Garcia, also celebrating on Jim Cornette's birthday day. So, two really good birthdays to have. They stick around on the Thursday and were part of the show last night for Dynamite, getting beat up by Butcher and Blade and Pentagon, or Penta L0M, whatever it wants to be called now, and Phoenix. But it's nice to see guys like the Buffalo Brothers making it. Puff was even still there, along with Megabyte Ronnie, and you can see them part of that brawl that happened to close out the show, the parking lot brawl. But also on Tuesday was United Wrestling Network launching their first episode of the sort of connection with NWA and Billy Corgan. It's a $7.99, I believe, pay-per-view that happens every Tuesday. For 90 minutes, 9 o'clock on Fight and a couple other outlets, I guess there is. But this week in their debut was really rough. A lot of bufferings and changes that way. But it's live for some unknown reason because it's not in front of fans. And they could have just simply recorded it and put it out as a video on demand. But it was supposed to have Mike Bennett challenging Nick Aldis for the NWA Championship. Aldis ended up winning. They did get things straightened around, but I don't know about it. Alex Hammerstone defeated EJ Sparks. Camille defeated Heather Moore. Dan Joseph and Levi Shapiro, I believe, went to a no contest for the TV title. Chris Dickinson defeated Mike Minor. The United Television champion Dan Joseph defeated Levi Shapiro to retain. And Nick Aldis retained over Mike Bennett, who had Maria by his side. The Wolf Zaddies and the Tribe went to a no contest in a tag team match. So there's a lot of unknown people, I think, with this one. But I guess the question is, would you pay $7.99, or I think it's $24 for a month of it? It kind of goes back to the old TNA monthly or weekly pay-per-view. Your thoughts on it, guys?
Not a chance. If this is one of the big companies, ROH, I wouldn't even pay WWE. Maybe MLW I'd consider because they put ROH. Probably be the only two that I'd put a lot of money out. That I probably wouldn't spend $24 or $7.99 a week. But I mean, no, there's way too many. I would have had to do way too more research figuring out who some of these people were, and I probably would have got yelled and screamed at the television because it would have been bad, and then it would just be ugly. I'm trying to get positive in my life, not screaming at television anymore, except on Wednesdays.
Because looking at that whole lineup, I actually only knew of Nick Aldis and Mike Kanellis, or Mike Bennett, should I say, in the main event.
Oh, you have to look up Hammerstone in MLW. Wow, future is very bright with Alexander Hammerstone.
Okay, something to look forward to. Jonesy, what were your thoughts on that? Would you pay for a weekly pay-per-view 90 minutes for your wrestling, or try and get it free like everybody else?
I would only do it if it was, like, say, one that you do watch a lot, like, say, Smash in the region, but you don't get to go to it a lot. Then, that might be reasonable if the quality is good. But with today's, you can find pretty much any match within a day of it happening. Why would I pay that? But I can see why they do it, because you look at, even if they only get 200-300 people, that's only 2 to 3 people per state that have to pay for that, and they're doing okay per week. So I say that it's a good thing to try, because that could be kind of more the future. But unless you're big or got big stars, you might get that a couple of times, but you're not going to get repeat people, and that's what you're going to want.
Yeah. This week also saw the return of Ring of Honor back to TV. They're doing their pure title tournament. They bring back that title. I think it was last used with Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, and Nigel McGuinness was one of the last matches they had, and then it got retired. They're bringing it back for their company. And this week featured Jay Lethal and Dalton Castle in Block A, and Jonathan Gresham and Wheeler Yuta in Block B. So they're starting to get their things going back to basic. I think MLW is coming back in the next couple of weeks too. So there's definitely more wrestling to watch. And you have then Josh Barnett is starting up Bloodsport, and that's going to be on Sunday, October 11th. Also, I think that's available on Fight TV, going to be 8 p.m. Eastern. Some of the people announced that are going to be a part of Bloodsport include Homicide, Josh Alexander, Grizzly Cal Jack, Chris Dickinson, Diona Perazzo, Kelvin Tankman, Lindsay Snow. Yeah, that's who they've started off with so far. Any interest in checking out Josh Barnett's Bloodsport?
No, but I have a really good, interesting question. How Josh Alexander can travel back and forth from U.S. to Canada without quarantining?
Yeah, because he's back here in Canada. He just was doing a thing with Destiny this past weekend involving speedball.
Yeah. So I know Impact's been taped for a while. I don't know how much they taped. I don't know if they've done a taping recently, but I know he was down in the States at some point doing, I want to say warrior wrestling or something, one of them. So, I mean, this is COVID time, so I'm really confused about some of how some of these wrestlers can travel and not quarantine.
Understandable. I'm not sure either. But at the same time, this isn't until October 11th, so maybe he has nothing going on between then and is able to go back to do some Impact tapings and over to Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. Anything's possible, I guess, with the amount of time. Moving on to some AEW. They've introduced a season pass for their fans that are in attendance up in the upper bowls of Daly's Place. And instead of just having your here's your ticket and coming once in a while, they're hoping to get repeat customers since they're always there at Daly's Place. So they're presenting a $175 US package that is going to cover live events the rest of this month, October and November. So I think it takes up to maybe their next pay-per-view, Full Gear. But do you think that's a good deal to end up doing?
Oh, I have to pay them to watch that horseshit?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, yeah. No. No, not no. No. Never. Fuck no. Hell no. They can fuck off.
Wow. But I understand. I think it's actually a good deal when you break it down to how many shows there would be in 3 months there for that amount of money. I think it's a pretty good deal if you're a wrestling fan and you want to see that because they are being taped and it's national and yay. And there is some good matches, but there is some, silly stuff too. It just depends. I find AEW, they're a mix. They're a mix of trying to be that serious type of wrestling world, but then they throw a bunch of camp in there and they bounce back so much with it that, some people love it because I see that silly stuff they do is more what you see at indie house shows than what you used to see on TV. But now they're showing that stuff on TV.
No, I see better at indie house shows than AEW.
A lot of that, like that last pay-per-view they did, except for 2 or 3 matches that just were like, meh. It was an excellent show. I thought it was a fantastic show. They had great wrestling. Was it top notch? No, there was some mistakes, but I think for a young company, it's a good show. It's just they don't know who they can be yet. They know who they want to be, but what can you financially be? Because they're trying to balance the whole indie experience that you experience when you go to some of these indie shows where silly stuff happens. They talk to the crowd, where they don't do that stuff much on other television programs. So I think they're trying to bring in the indie world, but it doesn't meld with everyone, especially when you have both type of products on the same show smushed together. Because I'm supposed to believe certain things of seriousness, and then all of a sudden, like on, was it Dark? with the hot dog. I mean, that's fine. I think in a live crowd indie show, but on TV, it doesn't translate. It just doesn't translate. So that's what I think about that.
So apparently the Black Scorpion is watching along with us on YouTube. But to your point, though, Chris, AEW is trying to be the anti-WWE, is what their slogans are. But they bring in a lot of independent wrestlers who are not getting any ring time now, because even when there wasn't COVID, they're only working once a week because they're with AEW. And so they're so green that it comes off really bad. You got referees who are supposed to be really talented, but they're either trying to put themselves over and getting in the way, if you listen to Jimmy Corderas, or they're just standing aside and not following any rules. Like, they need to figure out what they want to do. But then you end up having garbage matches on pay-per-views, and you think, okay, they're saving it for that. And then last night they go all extreme with their parking lot brawl that could have gone awry. And that was only a couple days after what happened with Matt Hardy. Like, this company doesn't learn from its mistakes and just keeps on trying to be, I don't know. I don't get it.
Which I don't understand is that parking lot brawl was horseshit. And I know we'll talk about it shortly. But why wouldn't that be on a pay-per-view? I don't understand.
Because I think TV buys are more important than pay-per-view buys now. Kind of like drive-through places that offer drive-through. A lot of times that's more than half of what they're bringing in, more so than people actually coming and sitting down. So.
But you make, like, they've already got their TV.
I just listen to.
But I agree with you. I do.
I listened to Rewind at Dynamite on my walk today with the gentleman I support, and they were even talking about, why are you putting this on a TV show when it's a hot angle that started off really low, because, you got Pride and Proud taking on the Best Friends, who were somewhat a joke, but now you get just elevated up to something extremely violent after a mom van got destroyed. But they put that on TV. Now, what happens when there's an actual blood feud needing to be solved? Like, where is the line being drawn, and why is it on free TV instead of being paid for?
Kind of isn't
it
that like
doesn't make sense with this company. And then Tony Khan is showing up. Being almost a part of the whole stuff with the Young Bucks, because he fined them for kicking Alex Marvez in the face, and now they kicked Posey in the face to start off their show last night, and they walked right past Tony Khan and tossed money at him. Already, Tony Khan, the owner of the company, is going to potentially be a character who's obviously going to get super kicked. Like, they don't want to be WWE, but now doing this, you're going to be WWE. You're putting yourself as Vince McMahon and going to get super kicked and going to be angry about them. And it's just that circle of, we don't want to be this, but we'll give you that. They don't know what they're doing.
I thought them throwing the money at them.
TSN knows what they're doing with AEW.
You're so lagging, Sean.
Well,
right
it was
now.
good because they're paid for their fine before they got fined.
Sean, you're so lagging. We're getting, there he goes. Okay.
Oh, there he goes.
It's probably for the best, because he probably now realized that we couldn't understand half of his words. Jonesy, did you watch AEW last night?
No, I didn't. I watched the pay-per-view and I watched some of Dark.
Yeah, I watched The only thing on Dark I watched was the Buffalo Brothers, Blackwood and Garcia, because I would pay to watch them. I unfortunately started watching AEW, and okay, Sean, speak.
I'm waiting to turn on. I'm not there.
Oh, you're on. You're on.
Okay.
You're on.
I don't know. This is kind of lagging today. I don't understand why. Bear with us, people. So
Is
yeah,
your wife,
if you want
is
to talk,
your wife watching some wrestling on the Wi-Fi?
no, she's not even in the city. She
Oh,
took
yeah,
off
yeah, yeah.
more. But
We were starting to talk about. Oh, Sean, hold on. Wait, you're so lagging. You're throwing us off. We just started to talk about AEW if Jonesy watched it, and he only watched some of Dark. And I said the only thing I watched on Dark out of all of Dark so far has been Garcia and Blackwood. I know you watched it. Thumbs up if you watched it.
I turned it off.
There he goes
He's gone
again.
again.
There he goes again.
What we could do is I could do This Week in Wrestling. Hey, Sean, would you like me to do This Week in Wrestling History now, which would take about 10 minutes, and see maybe if your internet improves in that 10-minute time?
He's giving us a
Sure.
thumbs up. Yes, Jonesy. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
You're good now, Sean. Talk again.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Okay,
Okay.
do This Week in History. So we're just winging it, people. We're just winging this shit. It's like AEW, except
Okay.
better production.
Put your hands up, crazy, if I start lagging and I'm just wasting my breath. Okay, so This Week in Wrestling History, September 11th to the 17th. We'll start with September 11th. 36 years ago, longtime WWF champion Bruno Sammartino made his commentary debut, thus causing wrestling fans to nap during broadcasts. 25 years ago, a real war broke out on network television as both WWF Raw and WCW Nitro aired opposite to each other for the first time. Raw's main event saw Shawn Michaels defeat Sid to retain the WWF IC belt, and Nitro main event saw Hogan defeat Lex Luger to retain the heavyweight title. 23 years ago, WrestleFest 50 Years of Funk took place, celebrating 50 years of funk and another retirement match for Terry Funk. The main event saw Bret Hart defeat the Funker. The special guest referee was Dennis Stamp, Bret's first opponent, or otherwise known as I'm Not the Not Booked Guy. 17 years ago, Ring of Honor presented Glory by Honor 3. It featured Jay Lethal defeating Matt Striker, CM Punk defeating Austin Aries, Bryan Danielson defeating Alex Shelley, and Samoa Joe won the ROH World Belt, defeating Doug Williams. 14 years ago, Trish Stratus wrestled her final match on Raw at MSG before her retirement. 10 years ago, Jeff Hardy is arrested on charges of trafficking prescription drugs and processing anabolic steroids. And 10 years ago, on September 11th, we lost the Booger Man, Mike Shaw. September 12th. 31 years ago, NWA presented Clash of the Champions 8. On the card, we seen the Road Warriors defeat the Samoan SWAT team. Pillman defeated Norman the Lunatic. Sting and Flair defeated Dick Slater and Muta via disqualification. 29 years ago, Chris Atkinson, a.k.a. Chris Von Erich, passed away due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He died 3 weeks before his 22nd birthday. 21 years ago, WCW presented Fall Brawl 99. This pay-per-view was the end of the Bischoff era and the first Fall Brawl with no War Games. Then it's not a War Games Fall Brawl. Sting defeated Hogan for the belt. 16 years ago, WWE's Unforgiven featured Trish Stratus defeating Victoria to retain the women's belt. Jericho won the IC belt, defeating Christian in a ladder match, and Triple H defeated Randy Orton to win the big belt. September 13th. 82 years ago, John Pesek was awarded the NWA Heavyweight Championship because he was the only wrestler who would post the $1,000 bond, $16,000 in today's monies, at an annual NWA meeting towards a proposed championship tournament. He was rewarded because he was the only guy, but he was soon stripped of that belt for not defending it against top contenders. What a dork. 34 years ago, WWF taped the 7th edition of Saturday Night's Main Event. 3 weeks before it aired on NBC, Hogan defeated Paul Orndorff via DQ, and Steamboat defeated Jake the Snake Roberts in a snake pit match. 27 years ago on Raw, the Quebecers defeated the Steiner Brothers via Province de Quebec rules match in New York to win the WWF Tag Team Championship belts. This is the only time in WWE history that the tag belts changed hands due to a DQ. Viva de Quebecers. 22 years ago in Guadalajara, Mexico, Rayo de Jalisco defeated Universo 2000 to win the CML World Heavyweight Championship. On a side note, Sean Morley, a.k.a. Val Venus, held that belt back in 1997 under the wrestling name Steel with a knee. 22 years ago, Fall Brawl 98 was the last WCW War Games match in a double cage, and it featured 3 teams and a special trapdoor that injured Davey Boy Smith in an earlier match. War Games also could be won at any time, as it was a 9-man free-for-all where a pinfall was allowed, proving once again WCW killed anything good from the old NWA days. 21 years ago on Nitro, Rick Steiner lost the TV belt to Chris Benoit. 19 years ago, SmackDown was presented 2 days later than planned and was the first televised sportings event post 9/11. 16 years ago, Mike Bushi made his WWE debut as fitness guru Simon Dean. 17 years ago, $1 Million Tough Enough winner Daniel Puder was released from WWE just 1 year into his 4th year. WWE stated it was due to budget cuts, and that's the angle they went with. 9 years ago at an Impact taping, Sting defeated Ric Flair, earning him a shot at Hulk. Who cares about that old storyline? Happy 36th birthday to Baron Corbin and Lauren Richards, best known as 6-time TNA Knockouts champion Angelina Love. September 14th, 40 years ago, Andre the Giant defeated Hulk Hogan after a failed body slam attempt. What? They fought before WrestleMania 3? That must be a lie. 23 years ago, WCW presented Fall Brawl War Games 97. The main event featured Kurt, Don't Call Me Mr. P. Hennig. Damn you, Kurt, you took that spot for nothing. Not just any spot, not a social distancing spot on the floor of Everywhere We Kind of Go spot, but Arn spot. What a bastard. 21 years ago, Vince McMahon won the WWF Championship with help from Shane O'Mac against Triple H. This made him the oldest to win that belt. 12 years ago, TNA presented No Surrender from Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. The main event saw Samoa Joe retain the main belt against Kurt Angle and Christian Cage. 5 years ago, Sting wrestled his first and last match on Raw, defeating The Big Show via submission. And today, September 14th, would have been Mad Dog Vachon's 91st birthday. He was one of 13 children. He started his wrestling career at a local YMCA and is the father of the beautiful and luscious Luna Vachon. September 15th, 36 years ago, Randy Savage won the World Wrestling Council North American Heavyweight Championship, beating Pedro Morales. 24 years ago, Fall Brawl 96 happened. Ice Train defeated Scott Norton via submission. Harlan Heat defeated the Nasty Boys to retain the tag belts. And Team NWO Hogan, Hall, Nash, and Fake Sting defeated WCW, Luger, Flair, Arn Anderson, and Crow Sting. 23 years ago, Kurt Hennig won his surprisingly, only WCW championship from Steve Mongo McMichaels. Way to book that crap. 22 years ago at a Raw taping, Jacqueline defeated Sable to become the first WWF Women's Champion since it was dumped into the garbage in WCW. 17 years ago, Vince McMahon gave Moolah her promised birthday match if she reached the age of 80, which she did. She beat Victoria in just 30 seconds, which is about the same amount of time it took her to blow out her birthday candles that day. 15 years ago at Border City Wrestling, Jeff Jarrett won the NWA World Belt from Raven. This was believed to be the first NWA match in nearly half a century. And today would have been the 66th birthday of Keith Frake, a.k.a. Adorable Adonis. Adonis was an AWA tag champ with Jesse Ventura and WWF tag champ with Dick Murdoch. Adonis would have a talk show segment called The Flower Shop. Adonis would die in a car accident with two others when the driver lost control trying to avoid hitting a moose. September 16th, 25 years ago, the Pitbulls and substitute Tommy Dreamer defeated Raven and Stevie Richards in a 2 out of 3 collar match to win the ICW tag belts. Fantastic match. If the same in the same pay-per-view, Gangsta Stars Paradise, Rey Mysterio defeated Psychosis in their ECW debut match. 18 years ago on Raw, Rico scored one of the biggest upsets in WWE history when he defeated Ric Flair. 17 years ago, during a SmackDown taping, Los Guerreros, Eddie and Chavo defeated the world's greatest tag team, Haas and Benjamin, to win the WWF tag belts. 15 years ago, ROH Glory by Honor 4. This marked the return of Bryan Danielson and the final ROH appearance of Mick Foley. 14 years ago, WWE Unforgiven from the ACC in Toronto featured a newer version of Hell in a Cell, taller, more spacious, and that show marked the final match of Trish Stratus as an active competitor. And it's a happy birthday to, of course, Jim Cornette.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris.
Is all. I might have got the date mixed up on one of them. So, anyways, there you go.
Well, thank you, and hopefully everything's back in sync for me. I don't know what will happen with that. Our Black Scorpion, whoever that gentleman is watching along on YouTube, mentioned that you forgot September 5th, 1990. However, that was covered last week. This week in history.
Was that the Black Scorpion stuff?
Today, so it would have been, you started on what? That was the Black Scorpion, apparently. So, just to get back to AEW, running down last night's stuff very quickly. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus lost to FTR. Jungle Boy could do so much better than having Luchasaurus as its tag team partner. Alex Marvez talked to Private Party, but we saw Matt Hardy taken out. SCU's Frankie Kazarian lost to Hangman Adam Page. Omega was on commentary. They're still teasing them being together, but not together. And I don't know what they're doing on that one for sure. Then MJF with Wardlow destroyed Sean Dean in like 7 seconds with a poke to the eye and the salt of the earth. Eddie Kingston came out with Penta, Ray, Phoenix, and Butcher and Blade. They wanted to assert their authority and then ended up beating up Garcia and Blackwood. Happy birthday, Daniel. Then Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn lost to Demo God, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. When we were talking about this back and forth briefly, Steven and I thought this was going to be a squash match because they're trying to boost up the former champion and Jake Hager as being a dominant force and going, but they went 50-50 with Private Party. That should not have happened if they wanted to establish Jericho and Hager or something. Release lost to NWA champion Thunder Rosa. It was a decent match. Two wrestlers who can actually go, as opposed to the rest of the women of AEW. They had to bring in outside people. This turned into Diamante attacking Rosa and Shida coming for the rescue. They're going to do a tag team match. Miro was backstage with Kip Sabian. This is total waste of the former Rusev. I didn't mind the build-up for Lance Archer getting Taz out there with Jake, and them getting Brian Cage and Ricky Starks to be a six-man tag, like a three-man tag together to go against Moxley next week. He's also going to have the newly signed, I'm just trying to get his name, Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs, and they're going to also get Darby Allin to show up next week. Yeah, Excalibur's going. I mentioned that Orange Cassidy's challenging Brody Lee for the TNT Championship, and the main event saw a huge brawl with Santana and Ortiz taking on the Best Friends. They went through cars, windshields. Orange Cassidy was in a trunk and made the save just in time. There was this really bad powerbomb through the windshield, which cut up, I think it was Trent's back. But then Trent was able to do some sort of reverse package pile driver off a truck roof into a flatbed, but through a piece of plywood. It just looked really dangerous and stupid. They finally got the victory, though. All three of them went off to the minivan because Sue, which is basically their version of Judy Bagwell, was waiting for them. They hopped in the van and left, but she stopped and gave the middle finger as the show went off the air. Thoughts on this show, guys?
Well, let me start with FTR versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Why? They don't know how to book this Luchasaurus Jungle Boy. You have Jungle Boy take the beat down. You have him make the hot tag to Luchasaurus to save him. You then could have had you have FTR win, but it was supposed to be a funky finish, and it was kind of, but it wasn't great. And then I'm trying to think I turned it off after Jericho, and then I had to go back and finish watching it for this because I was gonna break my TV. What was next? Hangman Page and which one was next?
Page and that was
Frankie Kazarian.
Frankie.
I don't understand what they're doing with that. I mean, Adam Page's ring trunks look dumb with the frill on them. I get what they're going for, the chaps, but it just looks dumb. I mean, it was a good match. You can clearly see they're building for a Kenny Omega Hangman Page match. What was that? MJF killed it like he always does, and then he talks about if he wants to join
a faction,
and make the. I'm not really sure who he was hinting at, but he made a lot of like lone wolf and stuff, and I'm not sure if I missed something on that. If there's someone out there, I don't really know. I would love to see, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see MJF be the leader with him, Wardlow, and FTR, with Tully as the advisor. I think that would be a new Horseman stable, which would be interesting.
I don't know how much you'd need Wardlow to stay around after that.
No, but they need that big, like, enforcer. So I that's why I was thinking Wardlow. I mean, it could be anyone. Eddie Kingston can talk, and it was great to see Garcia and Blackwood, but I didn't really understand that segment. And then the last shot, like, you have to get to Blade, you have to get your own house in order, which clearly is some sort of shot at getting Allie back in the fold, which okay, and then Private Party somehow looked like they were going to beat Jericho and Hager, which I don't understand. It should have been a 30-second match. Private Party should have never been in there. You should have built up. They should build up Hager and Jericho and work their way up the tag team ranks, because I don't understand how you do an FTR versus Hager and Jericho, heel and heel. So, I mean,
they don't know what they're doing.
No, they don't. And then I turned it off because I was going to throw my remote through my TV at that point. And then I came back today and watched the rest. And the women's match looked like a joke. There's a meme going out there where Evilise just sits there and lets Thunder Rosa put the full Nelson on her when she's laughing. And I was like,
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
I must have looked away.
Yeah, it was probably for the best. The parking lot brawl was horseshit, and I turned it off because I would have rather bleach my eyeballs than watch any of this anymore. And if it wasn't for doing this podcast, I wouldn't be watching AEW. I would record it and watch FTR and MJF.
Yeah,
So I swear to God, every week I watch AEW, it takes years off my life. Jonesy, you're on mute. Jonesy, you're on mute. Stop smoking the weed again.
Awesome. Oh, it isn't just the weed. I generally forget that something's pressed. It's just, you know what? Sometimes it's better if I'm on the weed and things go much smoother.
What were you gonna add?
Because hey, man, I ran through that history list pretty damn good. I was gonna add, how about maybe not watching AEW? I like, or at least not as much of it. I watch most wrestling now until I've had enough, and then I switch to a different, group of wrestlers. Because again, AEW, I like some of the stuff. I like watching Dark. Again, it reminds me of old WCW Saturday Night. The commentating, I think, is great. Like with Taz and Excalibur. Oh my God, those two are fantastic.
They screwed up so many times, and I was listening to it the other day.
But they're not taking it too seriously. It's fun. I like actually the banter that they've been doing on there.
They were calling people by the wrong.
Well, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. They're going to make mistakes, but everyone watches it for different reasons. But again, some of the matches are great, but like that match, I can't even remember the two guys, but the stupid hot dog thing at the end just ruined that match for those two guys. It just ruined it.
Yeah, so TSN is going to pick up the stuff that's going to happen on September 22nd. They had recorded a extra hour of AEW that was supposed to be possibly last night if the NBA stuff was going to be going on, but then it wasn't needed, so they actually decided they're going to still show that hour on the 22nd after the NBA game. And some of the highlights that's going to happen on that include Ricky Starks taking on not Ricky Starks, sorry. Lance Archer is going to be part of that whole thing. It's
I could guess.
There's a whole bunch of things going on. I'm just trying to find it. Yeah,
let's
not have the list there. But Hobbs just ended up signing a contract, so he's going to be there longer. Jesse Sorensen, formerly of TNA, he's hanging around longer. Buff Buffalo Brothers had a story done by WKBW in Buffalo covering their legacy from getting in that accident and then making it all the way to AEW. And then AEW is also going to be next week having Moxley, Hobbs, and Allen taking on Archer, Cage, and Starks. And there's also going to be the TNT Championship with Orange Cassidy and Brody Lee. So that is unfortunately AEW. AEW.
Go look at Facebook.
What's that?
I tagged you in the stupid meme of Evilly sitting there taking the stupid ass fucking AEW stresses me out. It's taking years off my life.
Hey, AEW Scorpion there that's been popping up. What does the Scorpion, the Black Scorpion, think of AEW? Does it stress you or does it give you pleasure?
I think he's walked away.
Oh.
The other fun, stupid ass fact about okay, we're going to AEW. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, so WWE did Monday Night Raw. They're going to be actually only going to, I guess, the end of October in the Thunderdome, which I guess Chris Maloney's going to be part of tomorrow night for SmackDown. He got in just like I did. Oh, he's out of here. Steven has some other things to get going.
I'm the only one that hasn't been eliminated tonight.
Yeah. No, he has some work to do. WWE confirmed that their next takeover special is going to be on October 4th. It's very quick, so there's only like 3 weeks before they have to turn around and do a AEW. Sorry, Steven's computer died. That's what seems to have happened. So he's apologized, and we'll see what happens if he comes back in through a cell phone.
I hope he can get it going again.
But so yeah, they only have 3 weeks to get ready for takeover, and they're going to do that with a women's battle royal to determine number one contender for Io Shirai. And also there's going to be a men's gauntlet match with some special rules, almost like what they do in Impact Wrestling to determine number one contender for Finn Balor. And then, that's going to happen on a Sunday. This is the fourth consecutive one that they've been able to do on Sunday instead of Saturdays. Wade Barrett has confirmed that he's signed for a year to stay with WWE and be one of the permanent members of the broadcast team. It also has an option to extend for a year. Coming out of last night's NXT, it was announced that the challengers, as I said, are going to happen. The Gauntlet Eliminator match has 2 men start in the ring, and every 4 minutes, one enters, and only way to eliminate is by pinfall or submission. The last person standing is going to earn the title shot. And the women's battle royal has Rhea Ripley, Casey Catanzaro, Indy Hartwell, Aaliyah, Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, Tegan Knox, Shotzi Blackheart, Raquel Gonzalez, Caden Carter, and Zia Lee. And so that one's going to determine the winner and number one contender for Io Shirai for TakeOver. They're setting up also right now for Clash of Champions. It used to be Night of Champions. And right now we have probably the WWE Championship is going to be defended by McIntyre over Randy Orton. They've been teasing some Keith Lee stuff in there, but that's probably not going to happen. They're holding him off a bit, but still dangling the thing there. Alexa Bliss had almost cost Nikki Cross a chance of challenging Bailey for the title, but that's going to happen. Bailey defending against Nikki Cross. They're going to be doing a Bliss segment tomorrow night on SmackDown. Also, Sasha Banks is returning. So who knows? That could end up eventually being a 4-way match for Night of Champions. They're setting up all that, and that's happening on the 27th. Also, with the Thunderdome stuff ending on Halloween, they're going to do Hell in a Cell a weekend before that, so that they can get that done before having to move out, which WWE is thinking about going to do outdoor stadiums potentially and bringing in fans like how AEW is. We'll have to see what happens as that gets closer to November and what announcements are going to happen that way. But yeah, so WWE is leading up towards that. And I guess the last thing we have going on for us before we get out of here is the New Japan G1 tournament, which starts actually this week. And there we go. New Japan revealed what their matchups are going to end up being. And so it starts on Saturday, September 19th. Okada is taking on Ibushi. So this is actually block A for night number 1. Okada against Bushi. Takagi against Jay White. Ishii against Suzuki. Jeff Cobb against Taichi. Yujiro will take on Will Ospreay. And then on Sunday, block B is going to take on, and that's Naito against Tanahashi. Evil's taking on Zack Sabre Jr. Kenta against Goto. Sonata against Toru Yano. Juice Robinson against Yoshihashi. And so that's going to continue. Actually, before our next episode, Block A will be on Wednesday with Ibushi against Jay White, Ospreay against Ishii, Suzuki against Taichi, Okada against Yujiro, Takagi against Jeff Cobb, and Thursday, which will happen before we go live again, is Block B. So we'll have some results and points to announce at that time. Naito is against Zack Sabre Jr., Evil against Yoshihashi, Kenta against Juice Robinson, Tanahashi against Toru Yano, Sonata takes on Goto, and there's a couple of undercard matches just to go from there. So each night is going to have 5 matches. Are you following it all, Chris?
Pardon me. No, I am not.
Oh, okay. I know Steven was, and I know Chris Maloney is. So
I may watch a couple matches, but that's about it.
We're going to just cover it point-wise and give results on the show on a weekly basis. I know it's 19 days of the whole thing, and people like Post Wrestling are going to do one every single night. I think possibly Chris Maloney is going to do one with CWN, and the hope is that Steven will be able to be watching it and give actual feel for the shows. We'll see what his schedule's like, but yeah, that's basically what's going to happen with the G1 30 Climax starting this Saturday. I think it's bright and early. It's either 4 a.m. or something like that, our time, that you'd end up seeing it, or 6 a.m., depending on how the schedule's going and the time changes. But yeah, that's everything for this week, essentially. A little bit scrambled, some technical issues we apologize for. But yeah, anything you'd like to plug this week, Chris?
About the Wrestling Trivia Game Show Challenge. Right now, we're now on an official mid-season hiatus. We will return, I'm sure, way before Christmas. Just got to get another computer so I can have more availability. And we need players. Come on, people, you gotta play. Test your wrestling knowledge. And that's
Learn
it.
something at the same time.
Yes, learn something.
So as I said, Chris Maloney of PWN Online will be on tomorrow. Check him out. He's doing an individual show now. We are still doing our shows here, which is Scumbags Wrestling podcast. But we also have Fantasy Warfare Tournament earlier today because I hit the wrong number for when it was supposed to be released. It was supposed to be released yesterday. It came on this evening, but we've done part 2 of the greatest theme songs. So we've taken down WCW and now WWF all the way up until WrestleMania 17. And so tune in on those ones. Find out who came out on top of both of those. I don't want to give a spoiler because I'd really like you to watch our shows. But then next week on Wednesday, we will go through the WWE side of things, basically from WrestleMania 17 till today. There's a good mix of different songs that are going to be put in there. And the last thing I want to plug before we go is our t-shirt. It's a special one for Steven's Wrestling Journey. We are raising funds for curing malformation, and it's a t-shirt that has 22 stars of the Ontario indie scene. And for the month of September, we are selling them for $25 or the poster for $10. But all proceeds are going to go to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, and they're trying to find a cure for this. Definitely help support us and get an awesome t-shirt that has Ontario superstars on it, and just in time to go back to new shows if they are still allowed to happen. So I will end with that commercial, and we will see you next Thursday on the Scumbags Wrestling Podcast, episode number 120, and also Wednesday for Fantasy Warfare Tournament. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Hey, wrestling fans, it's Sean from Scumbags Wrestling. September is Curing Malformation Awareness Month, and we've teamed up with Steven's Wrestling Journey to present this great t-shirt. Proceeds from it are going to help Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto as they do research for curing malformation. You can get the shirt for $30 or a poster for $15. However, I'm going to do something better. For the month of September,